What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tactical Foul. Today we're bringing you the news, all the exciting, some less so exciting for some of us news. But yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things, and then at the end we'll give you our opinion on some transfer news as well. So let's kick this off. I think the biggest, without a doubt, the biggest news. Messi.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the biggest news
In the
of the last 50 years probably. Soccer news.
I mean, it's close.
I mean, he's the best player to have moved a club.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose Ronaldo's transfers, but
Ronaldo,
none of them. I don't think any of Ronaldo's transfers were particularly surprising.
they weren't as surprising. I mean, I think the Real Madrid to Juventus was a little bit more surprising, but even then,
But he is coming to the end of his career there.
it's not that surprising. But I think it's much so less that it's more surprising with Messi because obviously he's only been at one club ever
Well, yeah, in his professional career.
in his professional career, right? He's synonymous with Barcelona. You don't
No, they literally worship him.
as they should.
If you've ever been to a game, and I've been to 4 or 5, like at the Camp Nou, like they worship that dude.
As they should.
Absolutely. I mean, he's mad. He's every game I've been to, he scored. He scored. He scored a hat trick in one game. Like, I mean, they literally every time he touches the ball, they're just like the whole stadium of 90,000 people goes quiet, like waiting for this. He can turn the ball over 37 times in a row. And they literally worship him.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, he's the best.
Now, with that said, you've kind of been on the, you don't think he's leaving. After more things have come out and we've had a few more days. I mean, obviously the fax was sent. That was like the last thing that he said. But apparently there's a new report that this was something that he had kind of let them know a few weeks in advance about, or I think it was like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He had told them that he wanted to leave. Yeah. I mean, are you still?
I still tend to be in the boat that like all of this stuff is like political maneuvering,
media manipulation.
Yeah,
right?
And I think Bartomeu's doing the same thing. Like they're trying to manipulate media to get what they want.
Yeah, for sure.
And clearly, Messi regardless of whether he stays or he leaves, he wants a new project. Like he either wants a new one at Barcelona or he wants a new one with a new team. Yeah. Right? The current team maybe is not interesting to him or thinks he can win, and he's 33 or something like that.
Yeah, he might be the best, but he's not.
He's not. Yeah,
he's near the end of his career. At least at the top level.
Let's say he's like stays insanely fit, and he's got like 5 more years left. He goes to Zlatan age 35 or 30.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like, which would be an incredible feat.
Yeah.
But Ronaldo's a little bit older than Messi, and he's still doing really well.
Yeah. Obviously, difference might just be the way that. I mean, I'm not saying Messi's not in good shape. Of course, he's in phenomenal shape, but they're just different body types. Where this guy has.
I would argue that, like, Messi could easily adapt to a different role. He's the best passer in world football. He's the best creator in world football.
I get
He's
that.
the best goal scorer in world football. Like, he could play in a completely unique role.
I don't disagree.
But I mean, Barcelona's just not good enough right now, and they've been hurting. That's a poorly put together team.
Yeah.
With a lot of random, player profiles in that team that don't make a lot of sense. That is a far cry from what, Rijkaard and Pep and, oh my gosh, the guy who passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But he did a great job with the team.
And then Enrique as well.
Enrique, less popular, but Enrique was a little bit less popular, but still was incredible.
Won Champions League. So.
Oh yeah, he was their last good manager. And then they've really had some duds since then. And the squad they put together is just horrendous.
Yeah, it's just not good enough.
It's not Barcelona level. It's like, it's something else. And I still think though. I mean, this guy is like incredibly loyal to Barcelona. I still tend to think that he has so much power. He has so much power. He has more singular power than any single player in world football. And if there's one person that could literally get a president to leave and get somebody new in,
right.
and kind of, I don't want to say dictate player recruitment, but like push player recruitment, it's probably Messi.
I agree with that, but the problem is, and this might be his problem, is like if he was at any other club, this wouldn't even be an issue because he can literally make any decision. But because of the way that the club is built with having a president and that is voted in and different things like that, it is almost a little bit less that he can actually do. Now, of course, yes,
Let's just talk about the time frame though. He wants to move. Like, the season starts in 2 weeks. What's he gonna move after the season starts? Maybe, but either he has to transfer in 2 weeks, or like Barcelona has to like really change their like pathway in 2 weeks. Neither actually seem probable to me.
Yeah, but I do think at this point with what it's coming out, like if the club doesn't change their pathway, he's gonna leave, and
He can't leave, right? He can't leave for free though, unless he buys himself out of his own contract, which is $1 billion or some crazy shit like that.
Well, I don't think it's as much because there was a clause in the contract where.
Well, and that's what everybody's speculating. Nobody actually knows.
But again, would you be that surprised if there was something in there?
I would be surprised if there was a contract that let him go for free. Yes.
Well,
because he holds so much value.
But he also, like you said, holds so much power. So if he asks for it, they'll give it to him because they're like, this guy's not leaving. He's loyal. But he's like, I want this, and I bet you.
But that idea that he goes, and they get no compensation.
No, they would get something for him.
They would get a training compensation.
No, and they would get
because he was a youth player.
Yeah, but they would also get. I don't know all the details, of course, and a lot of people don't know all the details.
I would say probably nobody knows all the details. That's why it's all.
But my guess is like, you put that in there. Messi's thought process, probably when he does the contract, if it is not like, let's do this because we're gonna leave. Let's do this because he never planned to leave. I don't think he did. Not until he goes to Argentina, which has kind of been a well-documented thing that he's talked about.
Yeah, when he was like 45.
Yeah, right, exactly. But the idea was like, let's keep this in there because it makes sure that the people up top don't ever put themselves in a situation where I'm going to want to leave, which is the case. Because most people wouldn't have suspected that the club would be this bad. As far as
and this bad, I mean like
right, it's contextual.
It is contextual because they finished close second in La Liga, which they haven't lost that many times in the last 10 years.
No, of course
they've lost maybe like 3 times in the last 10 years. Like they've been dominant in La Liga. They've been
absolutely.
Maybe Champions League. They've since when their last one was like 14 or 15 or something like that.
I think 15.
Yeah. Like they've still been wildly successful.
Yeah.
It's just been the last 3 or 4 years where they haven't competed the same way.
Absolutely.
In Champions League.
Absolutely.
But again, the concept that he sent a fax. Like nobody actually knows that. Where's the fax? Is there a picture of the fax? Like, so all of this is media speculation.
Well,
and you can say like, well, a lot of media is reporting it. It's like,
no, it's not even about that.
There's a lot of media that reports.
I mean, Barcelona has come out and said that he's asked to be released.
In a like an official statement,
yes,
or like through media.
No, they've come out.
I've never seen
They've come out and said it.
Oh, I didn't see an official statement.
So, last thing on this, if he does go, where do you think he's going to end up?
City, and I hate that. I really hate that.
Because
I don't want him anywhere near the Premier League.
No.
I don't.
Did you see what Andy Robertson said?
I would not wish. What did he say? Some dumb shit.
No, it's hilarious.
He would pocket him.
No, definitely not. No, he said.
And he's like, I don't want that problem. Yeah.
So
okay, that's smart.
He was getting interviewed by Katie Nolan, who works for ESPN, and she was like random questions, and then she's like, last question, easy one for you. how many goals will Messi score in the Premier League next season? He said 0 because I hope he doesn't come.
Yeah.
He said because he's too good.
No, nobody wants that problem.
Nobody wants that
Nobody
smoke.
wants that problem. Like, you can talk about him being older and not scoring as much.
He
like,
will score.
He will destroy the Premier League.
Yeah.
He will, like, my guess is he would come in and in one season he would shatter. Like, literally, he would score. I would guess in City's team he would get 40 Premier League goals.
Okay.
Premier League, and that's when was that last done? That would like Alan Shearer maybe like back in the day.
I give it. Well, didn't Salah do? Didn't Salah?
No, 40 Premier League.
He had 40. Yeah.
I'm talking about league freaking goals. I'm thinking.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think that he will actually do. He would score that many goals. I think he'd score a lot of goals. I think he would lead the league, but I don't think he would.
The top this year was 25 or something like that.
He would get 30.
Oh, I think he'd get close to 40.
Maybe.
I think he'd get close to 40.
It'd be interesting to see. I'm not that interested because
I don't want him anywhere.
Pass.
I mean, like, obviously, like, if he was at Chelsea, that would be phenomenal. But he's not coming to Chelsea.
Yeah.
So
he might come to United.
He's not going to United either. He's going, like, you can just see the stars are aligned with Pav, with Tiki or whatever. Like, it's City, and nobody wants that problem.
Yeah, it's City.
Because City already, like, underlying stats
are the best team.
Is the best offensive team in the league.
They are the best team. Like, they were the best team last year. It's just they didn't have a good defense, and
they scored by far the most goals in the league. And I don't need Messi on top of that. They already beat teams 5-0, 6-1. Yeah. We don't need this 12-2 game.
We don't need that problem.
No, I do not. Chelsea already has enough defensive problems. I don't need to see Messi running at Marcus Alonso. Don't need to see it anymore. I've seen it once, seen it twice. It's over.
Well, good news is he's running that Chilwell.
I don't need any of the above. I don't need him running at any. No. There's no defender on my team.
You don't want him running that peak Ashley Cole, really.
No, and Ashley did really well with Messi.
Yeah, but not you don't want to have to face him 3 times a year. No, not at all.
I do not want that.
All right, so
he can stay in Spain.
From bad news, well, the worst of news if Messi comes to the Premier League and he doesn't play for one of our clubs, to bad news for only one of our clubs. Harry Maguire
might be facing a year in prison.
No. He'll have to pay a fine, if anything. They found him guilty, which the first time around, they didn't accept any evidence on their behalf. And then, of course, they were like, well, we're going to appeal this, clearly. And they were like, well, yeah, we accept the appeal. Which, of course, to appeal something, like in any court, you already know what that means. You got to pay more money to go to court. So, now, is Harry Maguire in a situation that maybe he shouldn't have been? Maybe. And I would say probably, but it's hard because reports on the one hand are like most, and it's in the court documents, his sister, like the idea was like his sister was like basically drugged, and then they were trying to get her out of there, which kind of when the scuffle happened, these people were like coming at them or whatever, and then within the scuffle they were apprehended, but initially they didn't realize that the people were cops because they were in civilian clothes. So which is why they pushed back because someone in their party just got drugged and then they were getting chased. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna push back against whatever's going on. You don't know. Now, the bad part is at the police station or wherever. There's the reports that Harry Maguire was saying like, do you know who I am? Like, and was trying to just like listen, like basically like, do you know who I am? Like, I shouldn't be here. If that's the case, yeah, slightly douchebaggy, not gonna lie. And then the other thing is when they were apprehending them, they had him cuffed. Allegedly had him cuffed and were hitting his legs and were saying, your career, we're gonna end your career. Your career's over. It's a wild situation.
Yeah. I genuinely don't care. and I'll say why. Like, I don't really have an opinion on, like, if he's like actually guilty of all this stuff, then he's just stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
And if he this is some crazy like police scandal, which is actually not insanely uncommon
in those areas.
in a lot of countries.
Especially
in actually most countries. I mean, you think of, okay, you're talking about, well, he's cuffed and people are hitting his legs and, being rough with him. That happens in America every day to black people. Like, it's common. Like, police brutality is a real thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's a celebrity, I suppose, or an athlete, doesn't change the fact that, there's corrupt police everywhere.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So easily he could have done something wrong, but also equally easily he could have been part of something that was like illegal and unfair and all that garbage. The only comment I have is that the way Maguire is portrayed in media as being like is almost the opposite of, and you know that I have a really strong opinion on this. It is the complete opposite of what especially English black players are portrayed. He is innocent until proven guilty, where Raheem Sterling and Hudson-Odoi are guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts because Hudson-Odoi ended the season with a rape case over his head. He got accused of rape from a girl he never met, never been around.
Right.
And it was completely false, and it was proven false. But, the media slams him for being in the news for the wrong reasons, where this is, Maguire is portrayed as being the model professional, and again, don't care whether if Maguire did something wrong or didn't do something wrong. It's the same concept with Hudson-Odoi. It's like these black English players are definitely targeted, and that's a huge problem. Now, look, if Maguire can't start the season or has to pay a big fine or whatever, did some stupid shit, he joins a long list of athletes of doing some dumb shit.
Shit, right. Yeah, it's kind of weird when you're like, you don't know which one,
who knows?
You don't know, but you also don't know, which one's, a better outcome. It's like, okay, so he did it. It's like, what an idiot. Why, what are you thinking? He's accused of all these things, and he actually did it. And then on the flip side, it's like, but if he didn't do it, then, he's part of this, scandal in Greece that's, they're clearly targeting celebrities, which is not that surprising considering, the Mykonos Islands is it's a very popular destination for...
Oh, yeah. There was, 4 Chelsea players there. Tammy, Fick, Pulisic...
United. There's a bunch of United
players. They all
players.
got coronavirus, by the way. They're all out with coronavirus for another few days.
Solid.
But yeah, they were all there.
To be fair,
too.
probably a little bit better than what Maguire got. They got stuck with 2 weeks. He might get stuck with a year and a half. So, yikes. Yeah, we'll see.
But I mean, look, these guys, deserve their. These guys deserve they're great athletes. They deserve to have a vacation.
Their downtime, for sure.
They're allowed to be there. It's unfortunate if it is a circumstance where he's being treated unfairly. My only strong opinion on it is the media has a horrible representation of, initially condemning or supporting athletes when they should just report the news first.
I mean, that's just, I think,
that's
just in general in all things that it's more about getting a story than actually truth. So, on to something that I don't really want to talk about, but I know you're really excited about, and that's probably the winners of the transfer market at this point in time.
Roman Abramovich.
Yeah, Roman Abramovich is back in a big way. He slapped his dick on the table again.
Not true.
You guys have actually not spent that much money. It looks like it, though.
I would actually disagree. He's been spending money for a long time. He always spends money. It is always up to the manager to spend that money wisely. We've had some dumb ass managers in the past 3 or 4 years that spend a lot of money on really bad players. And what Frank is doing is, Now, and Frank is not the only one involved in recruiting players.
Of course.
He's definitely, our system is so far above a manager. Like Marina and Petr Cech and like those two definitely
Right.
handle that shit. And we have scouts and all that. Now, Frank obviously has an opinion. But the key right now with Frank, and what's very pivotal in almost every single interview that's happened, is that Frank gets on the phone, talks to these people, and they kind of like it. And I can imagine that, because I grew up watching Frank,
Right.
and I imagine these guys that, I'm 27 now, so that are literally my age or younger, they probably did watch him growing up.
Right.
You know, Timo was talking about how he watched Frank win the Champions League over Bayern Munich in 2012. You know, that was 8 years ago. He's 24, so he's a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, and so I do imagine being a famous player that had an amazing career does have its benefits when you become a manager. But I also do think, like, he has the benefit of, we did have a young, decent team that was missing some pieces.
Right.
And if he can sell the dream to some of these guys, Timo, hey, we missed too many chances. We need a more clinical goal scorer. Hakeem, like, we needed a better creator from out wide. You know, Chilwell, we needed a left
Body.
body. You know, if for Thiago Silva, we needed a good head. You know,
I could just use another leader in the
a
back.
leader. You know, a traffic cone. Hey, we need a goalkeeper. You know,
Still haven't got one of those yet, though. Linked to.
we got Willie.
You're linked to many.
Willie saved a penalty today.
You are linked to many goalkeepers.
We're linked. I would literally take any of them.
And then also, so like you said, Chilwell, well, not Havertz yet. I'm hoping that somehow falls through.
Yeah, and
Timo,
there's still some out there that
Ziyech, Thiago Silva. You got Malang Sarr, who's a young center back, played for Nice.
Mayumba from Barcelona, who's like a really young center back.
Yeah, and so
And then maybe Havertz,
And
maybe
then
a goalkeeper.
that's the big one. Is
And then Declan too.
and there's he's buying everybody. There's a lot of Havertz. Honestly, it looks like that's gonna happen.
It's been for a long time.
And then Declan, that's kind of been like a off and on thing with you guys.
He was a Chelsea Academy player, which is why he's linked so much.
Oh.
No, I actually would guess that he doesn't come.
That's just because you don't want him to come.
He like grew up in the academy with Mason Mount. No, I don't think Declan's a bad player at all. I think he's a perfectly good player.
I just don't know that he would play for you
He's
guys.
super young.
He is young.
He's super young, and I think he's like one of the captains of West Ham, basically. And he's like 20, 21 years old, which is really impressive.
Yeah, he'll get a move to another
He
club.
will definitely get a move. But if it's not Chelsea, he'll get a move to
Somebody. Us.
He's kind of a United, or I don't want to say like Spurs is like a downgrade, like an insult, but just like a bigger club than West Ham.
Like an Arsenal, maybe.
Yeah, Arsenal's more foreign though.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. You guys are more like UK.
Yeah,
They
that's
buy
true.
more UK players, and so does Tottenham. They buy more UK players. I think Frank's done a good job. I think Marina's done a good job in terms of buying people like at not crazy high prices. Like Timo was super cheap. Timo's like, for his age and his ability to score, like he should be way more expentive.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys like 53 million or something like that.
Yeah, and Hakeem was, probably has been the best player in the Dutch league for like the last 3 or 4 years. He's won.
Yeah.
He's won player of the season, literally.
Yeah. I mean, he's best production. He's been the most productive player.
Yeah, you could argue for different positions maybe.
Yeah.
And then if Havertz does come, it's like, ideally you're getting one of, again, the best production midfielders or more versatile production midfielders in world football. What I actually saw recently, which I really like, and what I kind of knew just implicitly, but when you start to think about it more, the amount of those players that have played significant, not Hakeem so much, because Hakeem's a little bit older, but if Havertz does sign, you're talking about like Chilwell, Hakeem, Timo, and even Sarr, who's not going to play this year, is going to go on loan.
Right.
They're like 4 of the top 5 under 22 or 23 players in terms of appearances.
Yeah.
Professional games, caps. And the other player who they've all been over 100 caps professionally. And they're all under, I want to say 24, maybe it was 24 because I think Timo's 24.
Yeah.
And the only other player in that top 5 is Pulisic, who we also have, which I like that. I actually think that that's really smart of like, you're not just buying young, you're buying young players that have played a shit ton.
Yeah, right.
You know, like Havertz, you think like, oh, he's like 21 or something
He's
like
been
that.
playing.
He's been playing literally like as a starter or like tons of games for Leverkusen since he was like 17.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's been playing for like 5 full seasons.
He's
and I think that's actually a really smart way to go about it, as opposed to buying, you know, a Vinny from the
Vincentius, yeah.
Vincentius or Rodrigo. They're so young and they cost a good amount of money, 40, 50, some million dollars.
At least, yeah.
And realistically, they had like one good season in Brazil. And not to say that they're not good prospects or anything like that, but that kind of like, these players that you're buying, one, Champions League experience, high level, you know, European League experiences. I think that that's a very good target player. A player to target is young but high experience. Because even if you kind of think that a player with less games has more potential, you know?
Yeah, you just don't know how they're going to
You
react.
never know how they're going to react. And I've said this before, Hudson-Odoi is every bit as talented as Jadon Sancho. There's a huge difference between the two. Huge difference. Jadon's got 50, 60 games under his belt. Hudson is like 20.
Yeah.
Hudson probably has more than that, but he's been interrupted so many times with
injuries.
And so that consistency of games gives Jadon the
matters so much.
It matters so much.
Now,
that's why people go out on loan. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things about this is like you're buying starters, but you're also just like filling out your roster, and it doesn't matter who you guys have. Like you guys are really, it seems, at least for me, like with this transfer, you kind of, like you said, you bought, but you are kind of turning back the clock a little bit with just how you are handling these. It's just a ruthlessness about it. It's like, we're going to buy them, we're going to bring them in. And like, if you if players that are already there, it's kind of a message like, if you're good enough, you'll be in there.
That was my favorite interview all year last year. We lost to Bayern Munich, obviously. But he interviewed Tammy, Lee Parker, who's like the Chelsea kind of full-time Chelsea interviewer.
Right.
He interviewed Tammy Abraham after the game, and Tammy had scored in the game, finished the season like 18 goals or something like that.
Good season.
Yeah, for a guy who had spent he had the one season with Swansea where he got like 8 goals or something like that, then spent 2 years in the Championship or something like that, and bagged goals.
Yeah,
like
it was great.
25 goals a season.
And you get 29 in one season.
Yeah. So for his first like full year at Chelsea, a big club, to get 18, okay, cool. You know, that's a good place to start. And Lee literally kind of roasted him. It was like, well, kind of put him on the spot. It was like, hey, you know, like, what did you think about the game? He's like, well, that's level, isn't it? You know, we got smoked by Bayern. You know, we were mildly competitive in parts of the games, but not, you know, the entire game. That's a problem.
Right.
We need to catch the level. I need to catch the level. I need to be better. I missed too many chances this year. I could have had way more goals if I was more clinical. And I'm going to get better because I'm a young player, but I'm hungry. And he's like, yeah. And Lee was like, yeah, player recruitment too. You know, there's a, you know, I don't know if you know, but there's you know, he's joking. A young guy from Germany. He's not too shabby. He's coming in next season. He's talking about Timo.
Right.
And yeah, Timo's 40 goals this year or something like that.
Yeah.
And Tammy laughs on camera. And he's like, it's Chelsea Football Club. It's always going to be competition. He's like, I'm ready for it. And like, as a fan, looking at that, there's a lot of fans that loved this year. There's a good chunk of fans that hated this year, that think that Frank overplayed young players. And that if we played more Jorginho, more experienced players, more Pedro Willian, we would have won more. And you'll never know.
No.
You'll never know. But the idea that some of these kids coming through have that mentality of like, I don't care, man. I don't care who's coming in. I'll fight for my spot. I'll
Right.
prove that I'm supposed to be here. That gives you goosebumps.
No, for
You
sure.
know, that gives you huge goosebumps of like, because he did have a good season. I wouldn't say spectacular, but he had a very strong 6.5 out of 10. Like, very passable. I would not say it was great. He missed a lot of chances, played a lot of games, but to hear that he's like up for the challenge, you know, love that. Love that.
Last thing on this is, do you think that with the moves you've made and potential move of Havertz,
Yeah.
are you, let's just say Havertz is there, and obviously, do you think you have a chance to be a title contender next year?
Title contender? No.
That's fair. All right.
No, I think the goal needs to be cut that gap down significantly, though. I would say whatever we lost this year, I think it's got to be 10 points.
Yeah.
Like maximum. I think it's got to be 3 games. You were within 3 games. I would accept, I would be like, all right, we close the gap. Because then you're talking about one final push to say, all right, we're going to be on the doorstep for the next 5 years. Because if we can close the gap next year, then all the players that we bought are so young.
Yeah.
Besides Thiago Silva, obviously, but he's not meant to be.
He's
a
a
long-term
he's a place guy.
He's a placeholder.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
Tomori or Mark Guy or the next center back, whatever.
Or Sar, whatever.
Yeah, or Sar. It's more about the gap. We got into Champions League. That's cool. We competed in some games. That's cool. He has to close the gap, and he closes the gap. Continues to get Champions League, and it's within 10 points. 9 points. I would say the 3-game kind of limit for me. Then I'm thinking about, okay, a whole season with that team. He's going to recruit a little bit more.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about all these guys are a little bit closer to their prime. You're talking about 5, 6 years where you, just that team, without even saying, okay, Conte needs to go, and I don't even know who's old now. But Conte needs to go. Aspie needs to go soon. If Rudiger stays, which I'm not so crazy about, but some of the stars that we do have left,
For sure.
before they need to be replaced, we're on the doorstep. And I do think that this is the best window we've had to close that gap. So I'm excited to see kind of where we end up. And if we end up close, then I'm going to say next season, and this, you got to be there.
Yeah, for
there
sure.
or thereabout. You got to go to the final day. And if
Yeah.
you don't, and if you lose on the final day, so be it, whatever.
Right.
But you need to be competing with Liverpool and City for the title. And I imagine with the front line that United has, I don't necessarily believe in other parts of their team, but the front line is hey, the front line gets you there. That's it. Yeah, you can say defense wins you. No, it doesn't.
60 goals. We got 60 goals with.
Yeah, and they need to score more. To be fair.
Yeah, 3 guys on 24 and younger.
Oh yeah, that's not okay for the rest of the league. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Problem is you got problems too.
Yeah, we got lots of problems. Next thing that I want to talk about is, many people probably seen the news about Rose, Lavelle, Sam Mewis leaving to go to Manchester City.
There's definitely one at Chelsea too.
And there's other players that have
Crystal
been.
Dunn was at Chelsea for a little bit.
Crystal Dunn was there. I do believe that Carly Lloyd is at City as well.
Was at City.
She was at City on loan.
Yeah, she won the.
Yeah, either. So she was there. That's what it was. Emily Sonnet. I know she left the. Was it the WPSL or whatever?
There's no Americans
at Chelsea. Not anymore. Slacking. I'm just kidding. Emily Sonnet. She went. She's not in England, but she's in, I believe, Sweden.
Sure.
And then some bigger news. Christian Press and Tobin Heath. It looks almost certain that they're gonna sign with United, which is a great signing for United's women. Christian Press, obviously, 2018 won an MVP, and then Tobin Heath has been, I feel like, criminally underrated part of the U.S. women's national team for a long time. Right. It's interesting. Obviously, this has all kind of come on because of the pandemic. And some people, I'm not sure. I think Rose and maybe Sam, they've kind of
City.
they're at City, but I do believe that they've kind of made comments about going back, like it's almost like it's even though it's not, it's almost a loan.
Yeah, so a lot of times, in like Carly Lloyd did this in her off season or something like that.
Yes.
In between like a tournament or something, like she wanted to keep playing, so she did a short term loan at City.
And obviously, this is more of a long term loan. The interesting one is I do believe, from what we're hearing, is Christen Press and Tobin Heath. It sounds like it might be they're gonna at least stay the entire season with United.
Emily Sonnet is at a Swedish club called
Sweden. Yeah. Okay.
Go to Borg.
Yep. I had it written down, but I couldn't say it, so
one that just made her debut, Alana Cook, is at PSG.
Yep. And
that's everybody. That's everybody that's at least been called up recently.
And that's just the U.S. Women's National Team, but there's many big females that are leaving the United States because they need games. Now, I guess the question is, do you think that, there's definitely way more money now going into women's soccer in Europe and over there.
Oh, yes.
Real Madrid just got a team, which should make a lot of people nervous because they're going to put money. Do you think that long term, the United States, the WPSL, should be worried?
Yes, 100%.
I
think they should be. I think the fact that they have not already tried to. I actually don't know contracts. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do pay a lot more. But I assume that because Europe is so much better at men's in terms of their structure, their infrastructure, their stadiums, the travel in between, inside the country and domestic and internationally is so much more efficient.
Continental, that's what we're
continental is so much more efficient. I think that Europe women's soccer, you've already seen it with the national teams. Those teams are getting a lot better. Spain, Dutch, France.
Which is not surprising considering these teams. The best women's team is Lyon, and I think Lyon is actually the most successful football club in history. The women's team, they've won the most big European trophies.
These teams are getting better. These players are getting better. They are catching the United States at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
Like a freakishly rapid. That Japan bopping the United States years ago, that was foreshadowing.
That's not,
that was not a fluke.
No. Yeah.
That was foreshadowing. Even when we beat them 4-2 or something like that, then 4 years later, you could still see the United States stylistically against a really old Japan team still had moments where they struggled against a team that was average age 30 some, really old. So I will not be surprised at all because I've seen Chelsea's women's team and Emma Hayes is the best women's manager on the planet. She's a freak of nature. She could manage in the men's game.
Yeah,
she's that good.
Well, they have her. She's on. I can't remember which network, but she's a correspondent with one of them.
She's very smart,
and they have her on all the time because she's so good.
She's so good.
And honestly, Casey Stone is our manager. She's phenomenal. They brought her in. She had managed. She was a player, of course, and then she was managing elsewhere. Yeah. This is a lady that you brought in. And our team is only 2 years old, and now just finished 4th. And of course, ours
is old. Emma Hayes has been here. I want to say most of Chelsea women's history.
Yeah. And you guys have been very successful.
Super, and the recruitment now is getting serious. We bought Sam Kerr for $1 million.
Yeah.
And Sam Kerr won basically the Ballon d'Or. The previous year. And that was with Bethany England. That was with Fran Kirby. That was with G from South Korea. Our team was very good, but they needed Sam Kerr. And now I think the rumors are they just bought the top Norwegian striker.
I'm really disappointed because the rumors are that from Lyon you're going to sign Alex Greenwood, who is only a year removed from last year she wasn't with us, but the previous year she was with us at United, and she was our best player. She plays left back for England.
Right.
Phenomenal player.
I want to say,
But that's big. Like, the fact that other places are starting to buy from Leon now, which nobody could do that before, because that was literally the only place to go. It's interesting, and I think that we probably both agree with, like, if our women either this is what's going to have to happen. Either the structure of how the WPSL has to change to accommodate what everyone else is used to, like the well-run clubs, different things going on, or our women are going to have to go over to Europe, just like the men.
I think you even see the people, like...
But it's happening, so it's not...
It's already happening, but you just have to listen to the interviews of the women that go overseas.
Yeah.
It's harder. It's more tactical, it's more technical, it's more competitive. And if it's more competitive, the players will leave.
Yeah,
The players will leave. Because they want to be...
They want to be the best.
Unless they do pay out too much money in WPSL, the problem with that is if Europe's more competitive and eventually the prices go up, it's going to be the same problem as MLS, where this insular league cannot develop players.
Right.
And the international, intercontinental competitions, that is the Champions League, because there is a Champions League for women, and it's incredibly competitive. It's so competitive.
It's competitive.
Chelsea made it to the semifinals this year. I want to say the semifinals, and lost to, I think, a French team.
I'm pretty sure Leon's back in there. Well,
but I'm like,
I'm pretty sure PSG played Bayern in the semifinal, the women's. I think actually PSG won. I think they played Leon.
But there was a rumor that we were gonna buy another top striker that scored like 30 some goals in the Bundesliga, and the person who was tweeting it was like, yeah, Emma Hayes is trying to win the Champions League, because it's very competitive to do that kind of stuff. And so if that's the top competition, you're gonna see the same exact thing you're seeing with the men's, with Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Zach Steffen. Like, they're all going to big clubs because that's where you need to go to be a world-class player. And if it is foolish to think that America is the best. Think about it. We are not the best soccer player developing country on the planet.
No.
Nowhere close. So if you think that, but we are for women, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, for sure.
The rest of the world did not pay attention.
Yeah.
That is why we were ahead. Did not pay attention.
And if we don't try to, innovate, we will eventually find ourselves behind.
The league will crumble. This league will crumble. It is mostly about saving the players.
Yeah, I mean...
So if you want to be a high-level player, go to Europe.
The truth is...
Lindsay Horan spent her whole young career
she went to
at
PSG.
PSG.
Yeah.
She got ostracized.
Oh, for sure.
Literally not selected for national team duty because she was over in Europe.
And she's a baller.
She's a baller. She's one of the most technical players. She's
Pretty
a fantastic player.
No, that might have been Mewis. It was either Mewis or Horan. I can't remember. But one of them won. Honestly, I think it was Horan. I think because she's not in. Didn't she? No, Mewis was there. I think Mewis won MVP. Is Horan still in Europe?
No.
She's
They're all back.
Yeah, Horan. It was Horan.
Horan had to come back just to get selected for the national team.
Horan came back, won the MVP, because it's like, of course.
Yeah.
I've been
and
developing.
People could be like, oh, well, what about Rose? Like, Rose is a special player, probably one of the best players in the world. Freakishly technical, creative, like all those good stuff.
Good soccer athlete.
Pulisic was here for 16 years too.
Yeah.
It
happens.
A little dying, but too many players that are really good slip through the cracks.
Oh, of course.
That's going to happen if they're not in a really good environment.
I would say this though: Europe has to make sure that the Champions League becomes bigger. I know that it means something, of course it does, but it doesn't mean as much as the international game does yet. Like the club game has not. It doesn't have to surpass. It's not close in the women's game yet. And when
it will get there.
But once it gets closer, it's over. Yep. It's completely
That's
over.
what Europe is doing now, though. is these women's teams are popping up.
Yeah.
They're supplying them with good players. And the thing is the investment is so little.
Yeah.
Sam Kerr, the best player on the planet.
$1 million.
$1 million?
We're basically in the 90s for. We're basically in the 90s or like.
$1 million? That's nothing.
Yeah, we're in the
John
late.
Terry can fucking look in his shoe cabinet
Right.
and that. You know what I mean?
It's
like
crazy.
the men's fees are so extraordinary for
Think about what you.
Chelsea's to spend a ton of money to buy all the best players would cost no money, and that's going to drive demand.
Yeah, I mean.
When you start spending money, like okay, it's only going to cost $15 million to create a champions team, and that would get a below average player.
Just think about this. I'm gonna just put this in perspective. For $2 million, you can have a Sam Kerr, or $1 million you can have Sam Kerr, but for $2 million you can have a 34-year-old Ashley Young. Like, which one are you taking in January?
Here's the deal, and here's the kicker. The final kicker is there's absolutely a huge market for this.
Yeah, 100%.
There are 8 billion people on the planet, and roughly half of them are females.
Yeah.
There's a huge market, and if you do not think that over the course of the next 40 to 50 years that you're not going to see huge women's soccer TV contracts, you are out of your mind. It is going to be massive.
100%.
It is going to be massive. Now, will it be on par with men's? I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not,
Because
but-
the men's game is so ridiculous right now.
And it has such a head start.
But all I'm saying is
The truth.
women's soccer has a real opportunity because of the globality.
We might have a word. That's okay. We're
Yeah.
wrong with it.
Because of how global soccer
Yeah,
is,
there you go.
to be a top 5 sport in the
Yeah.
world.
Well-
Like TV contracts, money. You're talking about soccer's number 1. Basketball, I think, is going to grow to number 2 easily. I think then you're talking about like baseball and football and baseball. I think those are like the historic big 4.
Think about. I mean, just
But
put it,
women's soccer can be in that category.
put it in perspective. In the United States, take a guess at which World Cup got more viewership.
Was it women's?
It was women's.
Yeah. And men's draws 1 billion.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it might have just been finals, is what they viewed it off of.
Okay.
But it might not have been. But the women's World Cup final in the United States, of course,
Girls are into sports, and girls will spend money on watching games.
especially when they're good.
So that means there's a huge market
Yeah.
for this, and especially a sport that is the most popular sport on the planet,
Yeah, it's crazy.
and it's one of the most popular in America for girls.
Oh, 100%.
It's more popular for girls than it is for boys.
Yeah.
So, 1, the United States has to be careful, but 2, I think more national team players or American women players should start leaving for Europe earlier, and I think they should stay there. And I think they should really learn what, because that environment is next level.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll say this. I want them to stay, but the only reason I want them to stay, I don't want them to stay right now. I want them to stay because we actually have the right structure in place here.
We don't.
But we don't, right? If that was the case, I think we would both be on the bandwagon.
We'd have the men's too,
Yeah, we do.
Like, men's soccer in America has a real opportunity to be like the biggest sports league on the planet.
Yeah, but it's not
But it
going
will
to.
never get there.
No, because
Not with the current structure.
No. One person you kind of mentioned when you were talking about the men's, and this wasn't in the notes, but I wanted to just bring him up because we kind of texted about it a little bit. Weston McKennie got a big move.
Oh my gosh.
You're hating on it.
No, I'm not. I just don't think he's good enough for Juventus.
I think
He's not at that level.
he took a risk. I think we have to admit he took a risk and he bet on himself.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah.
That's what he did.
Good for him.
And the truth is,
Just think about it. Like, okay, my comparison is he's not better than Tyler Adams. And Juventus is a better team than Leipzig.
yeah,
Like Tyler's not even starting for Leipzig.
I understand what you're saying.
So
I
I
think-
he's not. I don't think he's close to that team. Maybe he can be a rotation guy, like coming off the bench and helping. But I'm
he is
also
still fairly young too.
he's very young. So I'm not down on Weston. I think he's I do see people in America be like, oh, he's not that technical, he's kind of rash, and da-da-da. It's like, yeah, I get it. He's not freaking
Pirlo.
He's not Pirlo. You know,
To be fair.
But
He gets to learn from him, though.
Okay,
so.
look. Little baby steps. He's much better than Michael Bradley. He's a much better version of any of the midfielders that we had growing up. Michael Bradley freaking...
To be fair,
we saw a ton of Kleshin and...
To be fair.
He's actually very similar to Jermaine Jones, probably.
Jermaine was all right.
Jermaine was all right. He's probably similar to Jermaine. Athletic, weird.
I don't know that
technical in a way, but not.
I would say that he's
like.
I think we probably I think we don't realize that Jermaine was actually not that bad because we really didn't get to start to see Jermaine until he was already after.
No, Jermaine, but Jermaine was.
He was a better attack. He was a better attacker than Weston for sure.
Jermaine wasn't was not a world class.
No.
I would not even say he was a. I would not even say he was a.
He was a solid
midfielder.
He was a solid Bundesliga player.
He was a good Bundesliga player, and I think Weston has more potential than that.
Yes.
But at 21 or 22,
I think,
maybe, to go to Juventus when you're like, he's gonna have to grow into that team. He's not walking into that team.
No, of course not. But what I would say is Juventus doesn't buy poorly for the most part.
I'd actually disagree with that.
They don't buy that. They find players that fit for what they do for the most part. Now, of course, every team buys players that don't work out.
Well, I just think I think they play players that just like aren't special.
Yeah, we all know how you feel about Douglas Costa.
I don't think he's bad. It's just like...
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But I would say that I think they probably see something in him. He's young enough to where they think, we can develop this kid. To be fair, he's going to get to learn under Pirlo, which is a solid guy to learn how to play center mid under.
Yeah, you just look at Juventus. To me, that was such... Like, Weston would be such like a Dortmund move type thing.
Honestly,
like young, athletic.
You know who I think that they're hoping that they can... I'm not saying that he's going to be this guy, but I think he has similar traits to like a Matuidi. And that's what they probably are hoping that he can end up being if he learned, because...
I would have said like an Emery Khan. Just a little less good. Blaze is a baller.
Blaze is a baller. No, but what I'm saying, I'm not saying that he is. I'm saying he has certain traits that are like him. I'm not saying all of his traits are like Matuidi, but that's what they're hoping that they can mold him into because he obviously has the athletic prowess to be that.
He's not a donkey either. He's technical.
He's technical.
He's not a wizard, but
I would say though it was time for him to probably move. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have gotten better, but like he's gotten a lot of games. He has played a lot of games.
The only problem with his Schalke team, because he was playing a lot, and I think that's the most important thing,
which
is why I think moving to Juventus isn't a good move, because he's not going to play. He's not going to play nearly as much as he was playing. But the only problem with Schalke is he never played the same position. He's playing like right back, center back, attacking mid, holding mid. Like, he's all over the place. So
he was vital for them.
And I just think I'm glad he didn't move to the Premier League, because I just think Premier League teams are so hard to get into.
Yeah.
Americans struggle so much. I was worried about Pulisic. Like, just, they're so difficult to get into. I'm glad he moved to a non-EPL team.
Honestly, I like when young players move to Italy. I think it's just such a tactical league that they.
Italy is so underrated. Honestly, every league but the Premier League to me is underrated. I just think the Premier League is so overrated.
I don't know. It's just different. I think all the leagues are different.
They're all different, but
that.
Italy gets just pooped on.
Well,
and it's such a better league than that.
But the reason is because of how good it once was. It's not the heights that it was.
It's not the 90s, but that's okay.
It's not even the early 2000s. But I get what you're saying. I do think it is. You see this when young players go there. They become better tactical players, and they're especially when you send defenders there. They come back into the Premier League or anything or anywhere else, and you look at them and you can see how much they've improved because the culture there in Italy, the way that they run things there is insane. A lot of players like don't want to go to Italy because they just cannot handle like how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like like just how rigid and like just finite everything is, and like maybe that's what he needs. Like
yeah, and that's I would actually argue maybe the opposite with him is like for me like a better move would have been like it would have been more interesting, I think, to see him in like the Atalanta team or something like that. He would not have gotten into that team because I think Pasalic is better than him, and I think that's probably the most similar player he would have run into. But he's a little bit older, Pasalic is.
No, for sure.
Or maybe even like get into that AC Milan team. Just like rebuild. Yeah. They're rebuilding a little bit. He's good enough that maybe he could get in the team more consistently.
You think he could like pip someone like Kessie, who's probably a similar.
Kessie's fucking good.
Kessie's pretty good.
I was thinking of somebody else.
You forgot Kessie was there.
No, I think Kessie.
I'm not saying that he would, but
Kessie and the Turkish guy, Chad.
I think you can get him. You mean the guy?
I think he's all right.
I think he hits free kicks really well.
No, he was a good creator for them.
He's okay.
So I think if Kessie and Weston played together, and then you had him as a 10.
That's different.
I don't know with the other midfielders, so I'm kind of talking about Asar. He's not going to get into Conte team.
I don't know, he works real hard. He might.
And then Napoli, like they got good midfielders.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think Juventus is a bit of a stretch.
And who knows?
Hey, if he rises to the challenge, he's going to be better for it. For sure.
He will definitely be better for it. But let's be real. He just signed today. We could hear in 2 days that he's loaned out to somebody else.
I would not be surprised.
But hey, he's a Juventus player. That's a massive move. And honestly, that's the type of pedigree that we want in our U.S. national team. We want Juventus. We would like him to play. And listen,
okay.
We want him to play.
We talk about like Conrad at Barcelona, but you got to play.
Of course.
You could be at Barcelona, but if you're not going to play, then
you're talking about a kid. But you know what I mean, though. We want Juventus type players. Like if you're playing for Juventus and you're in the U.S. men's national team, that's a dream. That's a dream. Next thing that we got to talk about is honestly another team in the Premier League, and this should be quick. That's about to have a good transfer window as well, and you are just baffled by them, and that's Everton.
I thought you were going to say Arsenal.
No.
It's like they signed Willian, so it's automatically.
Yeah, no, they don't count. Everton has signed Allen from Napoli, which is a good signing.
Oh, yeah.
For $25 million.
Cool.
And it looks like pictures are proving that James is about to do his medical.
Oh, my
James Rodriguez is going to go to Everton, which the only reason he's going is because Carlo's there. And Carlo
I imagine I would not go to Everton.
But those are two good signings. Really good signings. Maybe not for them, but for Everton, they're good signings.
Is that where like the Icelandic guy plays, Sigurdsson?
Yeah. He's okay.
Yeah.
They got other players than that though.
No, I'm just trying to think of like the midfield. Like I definitely think like
I mean both of them start. We know
one, they needed to overhaul the midfield because like Tom Davies is like.
I think Schneiderlin's still playing in there.
Schneiderlin's not.
He's not terrible.
He's not bad. I'm talking about like the kind of dopey like midfielders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had Guy for a year, I think.
They got one. They had one other midfielder that was.
Midfielder? I'm sorry, I gotta look this up.
I'll be honest, I forgot what their midfield was.
Okay, so here's some problems with Everton that I see. Is their midfield is trash, and you need a good midfield. Two is and I think they've tried to fix it with.
Oh wait, no, they have Andre Gomez. That's.
Yeah, he's like an 8. So if Allen's, I thought Allen was an 8.
Yeah, maybe. 2 8s and then James.
Sure.
That's actually hearing that out loud. Actually, that's a pretty good midfield.
Okay, like Jordan Pickford, like he's got ways to go.
Yeah, he's got errors in him.
Okay, they got Fabian Delph now. He's like all right.
Playing left back, yeah.
No, he's a midfielder.
Yeah, we played. I think
Lucas Digne is the left back.
Oh yeah, true.
Okay, so I got like Yuri Mina center back. Who's the other center back? Michael Keane. Yeah. Seamus Coleman, Lucas Ding. Okay, so here's the problem I see. Like, if those two sign, then I think that that's a much better midfield, and I think that's good. They have really bad forwards though.
They have one decent forward.
Richarlison is young enough, and I think okay enough.
Calvert-Lewin is very young, but
solid.
He should be a backup. He should be a great option off the bench.
Right, but the idea that like Richarlison is their leading goal scorer, not good enough. I mean, like, not to say that he's bad, but like
I agree.
13, 14 goals is just like, if you really want to like take Everton to where I know those fans want him to be, which is top 4.
Yeah, because at one point in time
because under whatever his name is, why am I forgetting his name?
Because he's forgettable. We don't talk about him on this podcast every year. Thought we discussed this. No, I'm talking about the '80s when they were probably the best team in Europe.
I'm just talking about since I've been watching. But I would say, mid 2000s.
They were solid.
Late 2000s.
They were solid.
The old guy. Holy crap, I can't remember.
David Moyes.
Wow, could not get that name out of my mouth.
Scottish dickhead.
But they finished 4th. 2012.
Did they finish 4th?
They finished 4th one year, and then they got kicked out. It was 06. 06, right? Because Liverpool won the Champions League. They didn't finish in the top 4.
And they got kicked out of that. Like the Tottenham when you guys.
Tottenham at 2012, same thing. Yeah.
So.
But they need better forward.
Right.
And I would say they were competing really well, like late, right before David Moyes left, because they had Lukaku, and Lukaku's bagging goals. They need that. They need to find somebody that's going to get them 20 goals a season.
I agree.
Maybe like, Danny Ings is old, but he scored a crap ton this year.
Be a good signing.
They need to find somebody that can bag them goals. They literally need to like go find their Erling Haaland, like some young gun that just bags goals. And
what's his name? The guy at Salzburg.
Oh, Patson Daka.
Everton, you're welcome.
No, Daka's a baller.
Yeah, Daka's a baller, but
Daka
I think overall, I think we have to agree. Like Everton getting James from Rodriguez James and Allen, phenomenal signings for them. I mean,
it's all for nothing. I mean, like Andre Gomes was like
that's a good
big signing for Barcelona at the time. He was supposed to kind of like help their midfield to get younger, and so then he goes to Everton, and you're like, well, he's not a bad player, but it's like he doesn't transform their team because you need somebody who can get you goals, and
for sure.
that was Chelsea's problem.
Yeah.
Like you just need a goal scorer, and when you lose that, Diego Costa. Or when you lose that beforehand, Didier Drogba, like, dude, it kills your team if you don't have a goal scorer.
I know all about it. Well, you struggled there for a little bit.
Yeah, you did. And this year was probably the first year where everybody was contributing, and you see what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you actually finished respectively.
I don't really care about. I wrote down Leeds, but I just don't care about them enough. I mean,
I'm excited to see Marcelo Bielsa in the
Bielsa's cool. The last thing we'll talk about before we talk about the transfers is just the Community Shield. Did you watch it today?
No. So busy.
I saw part of it. Aubameyang scored a really good goal.
I did see the goal.
Minamino scored equalizer. Arsenal won on penalties. The young kid from Liverpool, Brewster, got brought off the bench to take a penalty and just whacked it off the crossbar. So that's unfortunate for him. He's going to be a good player, though. I do think that. I think the most interesting news to come out of that, well, there's two things. One, Arsenal fans, you didn't win a trophy. Chill. You didn't. It's not. It's a glorified preseason game. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's like winning the ICC. It's really what it is. And then two is in the post-game interview, when they were interviewing Aubameyang, of course the talk was about contract negotiation. And that boy slid out of that like a slip and slide. He was not answering those questions.
He didn't say he was going to resign.
He was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And
but if I was him, I wouldn't resign.
Yeah.
I would freaking, jeez, like,
Everton. Let's kidding.
No, they're better than Everton.
Yeah. They are. I'm sure some team.
I mean, it's hard to think where he could go.
He's definitely he's older. Honestly,
it's hard to think where he could really go to, like, you know, Arsenal's probably a good place for him. I'm trying to think of like big teams that actually like need a center forward. Like probably the best team he could go to right now is like a center forward is probably Juventus. Like a center forward.
You know,
like because Higuain, like, you know, I don't care.
What I'm pretty sure they. I'm pretty sure they cut.
Yeah, so maybe you go to like Juventus.
You know what would be a good place for him to go, just because of their track record of like getting in like younger and older. Ajax.
Yeah.
Because he could still get goals. He'd be surrounded by youth, but he'd also be surrounded by other players that could do good things.
But is like Ajax really like in his brain? Is Ajax a step up from Arsenal?
They've done more than Arsenal has.
But I would agree. I just like nobody ever does that.
Nobody's
like, I'm leaving Arsenal for Ajax to win a Champions League. Like, I would say that Ajax does, usually do better and go farther.
I don't know that there's anywhere really that.
There's just nowhere to go.
It's probably Arsenal,
he's just trying to get a bigger contract, and Arsenal probably pay less money for their contracts than other big clubs, and so he's just. But
they should definitely pay that guy because he's. Still...
Oh, absolutely, they should pay him. He's a top 3 striker in the Premier League easily.
Yeah.
Easily. He's a top 3 striker.
He's unreal. So
it's historically right now it's him, Aguero and Harry, and that's like major disrespect to Jamie Vardy, but
that is actually.
But like,
what are you gonna do?
Jamie's. I was just about to say Jamie's not gonna win Premier League, but he did.
Yeah. Arsenal, by the way, finished second that year because Tottenham decided to finish. Third in the 2 just want to make sure Tottenham fans.
He's gonna stay.
I think he'll stay.
I don't see a problem with that, and he needs them. He's the best fit for them, and besides maybe Juventus, but he's not going to any of the clubs above him. Well, okay, sorry. There's probably one other team. It's probably Liverpool. That could probably use a better center forward.
Straight center forward.
Center forward. They could probably replace Bobby with Aubameyang. And it would be a good improvement.
I honestly don't.
I don't want that problem.
I don't want that problem.
They're already good enough. They got Mo and they got Sané. Bobby's like meh to me, but he's not going to Liverpool. I don't think he's going to Liverpool. So
I hope not. All right. So before we get out of here, last thing. Got some transfers. We're gonna give it either a red card, obviously that means not happening, yellow card, maybe, and then PK, which just means it's on.
It's on,
all right. So
Messi to Chelsea, PK, it's on.
He is the first name I'm gonna throw up here.
Oh yeah.
All right. Messi leaving I'm not even going to a club because Messi leaving Barcelona.
I think red card.
I'm going yellow.
Yellow, yeah.
I
can definitely see that. My first guess is that
he's not leaving.
He's just putting pressure on. He's putting the pressure on, not even for money, not for a contract, just to get Bartomeu out and get his last 4 or 5 years a good project on him.
All right. I'm cautious about it.
I don't want him to leave because I don't want him to go to City.
Yeah, I'm cautious.
He's not we really think about it. He's going to City if he leaves.
He is.
And I don't. So I have to believe.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm with you on that.
I have to believe because he's not going to PSG. He's not.
No, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Besides Juventus.
We don't want that smart.
Next guy, and there's reports of it. I don't know. Suarez to the MLS.
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it not because of the sports card thing.
You love it for that.
Luis is so good.
Yeah.
And he is not done with his career. And he has enough. The Ajax one would have been a great link. And I know that one kind of like fizzled out maybe because he's too expensive.
But the truth is, and we'll get to him later, but sounds like Ajax is gonna have 40 million on their hands. So maybe with that excess money,
Like the dude scored. Okay, this is his worst season ever for Barca.
Yeah.
This year was, and he scored 21 goals in 36 games.
Yeah.
He is not done.
No.
He's not done.
But he might be.
36 games is also the least he's played, which means he got injury.
But the truth is, though, and the problem is, he may be done at Barcelona.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I'll say that it's not. I'm gonna just take the easy way out again and probably say yellow card. I want to say red card because I agree. I think he's too good for the MLS right now. But he probably knows that if he's coming to the end of his career, it is the best thing for his brand. It's a good thing for his brand. I'm not gonna say the best thing, but it is a good thing for his brand when he does retire, so he can make some extra money and different things like that.
Yeah, there's this report that like Luis Suarez came out and said there are people using my name and making up rumors.
I don't think he wants to leave Barca, but I think he might be.
I'll speak for myself when the time if the time comes. So.
I just think that he might not have a choice. I think that there's gonna be a lot of changes at Barca.
Yeah, 16 goals, 8 assists in La Liga this year.
Yeah.
In 28 games.
Yeah.
So 24 goal contributions in 28 games.
I'm not.
He's got a lot of quality left.
Of course.
I just think like, you know, the problem with Barcelona is not their forwards.
No.
The problem is their midfield and their back line.
And their manager. Not. I don't know how I feel about Koeman, but
at least he spent some time at Barcelona.
He's one of their better players.
Yeah.
Zaha to Dortmund.
Such a bad transfer. They one red card because they shouldn't do it. Shouldn't do it.
It's just
who does he even replace in that team?
You know who.
Oh yeah, well that's not happening. Not this year.
It might.
Not this year. Literally,
it might.
Replacing Jadon Sancho with Luis Zaha with Zaha would be such a downgrade. Such a downgrade. And Dortmund are not stupid, so no, they don't buy it. Red card. Okay, let's say Jadon doesn't leave, he's not getting in the team then.
I don't think he's going to Dortmund, but so it's a red card for that. But him leaving, I would say PK. I think he's leaving. He's been very clear that he wants.
I hate him there. He always scores against us.
Yeah. So.
I hate Crystal Palace.
All right, next guy, and honestly, I wrote this before news really broke on it, like making it seem more likely. But Van de Beek to United.
Yellow? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
you gotta buy somebody, right?
I'm gonna go PK just because, like, we gotta buy somebody.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, you need a midfielder.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
Young too, so honestly be a really good buy.
Yeah, you need a midfielder. You need another midfielder if Pogba and Bruno are like set in stone. You need another one.
Yeah, Pogba's kind of team come out and said that he's staying. He's happy with what's going on, the project, and they're gonna look for a new contract. Do it.
Yeah.
David Alaba to the Premier League.
No.
Not saying any club. I would love him at our club, but just the Premier League in general.
Oh, maybe City. Oh God, I would hate that too.
Well, it wouldn't be Liverpool. To be fair, it could be. He could be the left-sided center back.
I just think like
he could be the left-sided.
I'd say red because like this dude just played like a ton of games for Bayern Munich, won a Champions League, so he's gonna leave after that to a team that's worse. Like I just don't get that concept.
Yeah.
You know, like I just think like these clubs, Bayern is one of them.
He only has a year on his contract left, so like,
right.
And he rejected their contract. That's the only reason why this is happening.
Bayern, just say Bayern and Barca and Real. Like, people tend to leave those teams when they're declining.
Yeah, he's a little bit different because in this case, from the reports, is he wants to be paid like Mueller and Lewandowski and Neuer. I think those are the three top earners. Yeah. Maybe Thiago.
And to be fair, at his age, he's not old.
No, he's 27. Going to be 28.
Like they should pay him like that. And I think honestly though,
just don't know if they will.
I think they'll figure that out.
They might.
He's that. I think he's
that important.
He's important to them. So
I just don't know if they will pay him as much as they pay them, and if
they pay Neuer that much, why would they not pay somebody who's been a starter in their back line for the last?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just
he was a starter in 2012. He was just injured.
Yeah.
Or suspended when we played them. So
he was a starter when they won in 13. So
say red again. I'm boring.
Yeah, I think there's some legs to it because of like the contract dispute. I just don't see Bayern. I don't see Bayern giving him what he wants contract wise. But I won't go Pen because I could see them giving him close enough and he'll stay. Depay to Barcelona.
Memphis?
Yes. That is the latest news.
Red card, that's a bad buy. For them, it's a bad buy.
I know what you're saying.
It's a bad
buy. I think they're looking at him as... I don't know if they're even looking at him, but the idea is that...
They don't need a forward. They got Messi.
I think the idea is that Suarez... they might be moving on from Suarez. He's a younger player.
He's a center forward.
He's been playing a lot of center forward for Leon, but he can play wide too. But he could play wide and center forward, which would lend itself to Messi maybe going central if he stays.
Man. Not elite enough.
I go a red card. He's gonna leave Leon. He's already said that. Literally came out yesterday and was like, yeah.
I can see him leaving. He's not good enough.
That's just the only link that I've seen so far. So gonna go with that.
I agree. Red.
Havertz to Chelsea.
PK, done deal, wrapped up. See you tomorrow.
Penalty, unfortunately.
Oh, I really don't believe transfers until they happen.
You want to know something? I hope. It doesn't have to be us. I hope someone pulls a John Obi Mikel on you guys. I hope that motherfucker puts a jersey on, and then they're like, "Oh, just kidding." I'm not bitter. Anyways.
Sounds like you're bitter.
Last one. Jadon Sancho to United.
Seems shaky right now, doesn't it?
Does seem shaky.
Doesn't seem like he's sold on the United dream.
I think he's sold. I just think we're a bunch of dickheads, and it's like, you pay us $120 million or you don't get him. And we're like, but what if we give you a Amazon gift card?
For $120.
Yeah, we'll pay you $80, and then we'll give you some old railroad bonds that you can't redeem
anymore.
Like some stupid shit like that. That's basically. And you know what will happen? I do think it will happen. I think it's a PK because this is kind of how we do business every time, where we just are like, we're gonna try to give them as little as possible, and we're gonna act like we're gonna walk away from the deal, and we're gonna find an alternative, even though we don't have any alternatives in mind. So
Ole's like, we could go for anybody in the world, anybody. He's the only one. That's it.
Like our scouts have looked at, and then we're like, scouts, what we looked at, and he's like, just Jadon.
Just Jadon.
Ole
told us to only look at Jadon.
Which, to be fair, good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Found a good one.
Yeah, it's like, makes sense.
I will go with yellow. I think
not red. Wow.
He could go to United. I think it's more likely that he doesn't. I think he's
too good for
United at this point in time.
But
I also probably this season, like, are you saying right now he goes? I probably would agree that he doesn't leave this season. I probably say he stays the year, and then at most moves like a lot of players move during European Championship seasons, stuff like that, World Cups, before or after them. I definitely think Dortmund are going to sit there and be like, they're sitting in their head thinking, we know he's going to do a good job. We know he's going to start for England. You know what I mean? And then they're looking at they're telling Jadon, like, Jadon, same thing Ajax do. One more good year, and we will literally help you go. And they do that. But Dortmund's very good about
the only issue.
And so I can see this happening where they're thinking, okay, we could completely maximize profit next year. And then two, it's actually probably in Jaden's best interest to guarantee you are a Champions League round of 16 team. That is a Champions League round of 16 team, guaranteed. It's the second best team in Germany, second or third best team in Germany. Like, you are getting that. Germany's a great league. They're gonna get out of their group, and that's good development for a 21-year-old. To be playing 40 games.
To be fair, I mean, I guess you don't know that we're gonna get out of the group, but we are in Champions League. That helped. That definitely helped our case.
No, that's not my point. My point is that when you go to a club like Manchester United, you don't really know that you're gonna play, and for a big fee like that, you could say, well, he's gonna have to play because he commands such a big fee. We have the world's most expensive goalkeeper, and he doesn't play all the time. So
I mean,
it's just not. Yeah. It's just not. It's just not guaranteed.
Our highest earner
is out on loan.
Yeah.
So you just never know.
But
he knows staying at Dortmund for a year. It is. I think I'm not Jadon Sancho's agent, but it is in the best interest of his career to play one more year at Dortmund. Because he is guaranteed 40, 45 games. He is guaranteed to be star of the show. He knows the coach. He's guaranteed to have a good year, which means he's going to get his dream move, whatever he wants that move to be. And, I just think it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one. The thing is, if we don't buy him this year, I don't think we end up buying him because I think Mason Greenwood has the potential to be that level of player.
And you think that's why I don't understand.
And you give him a year of starting.
I don't understand the United link at all if you believe in Mason Greenwood. Because if you believe in Mason Greenwood,
but maybe it's not Mason Greenwood then.
But people believe in Martial and people
believe
in Rashford.
I believe him as well. But the truth is, I think people just believe in Jadon Sancho more. Which, to be fair,
yeah, I think people just want to see a big transfer.
Yeah.
If I was Jadon.
It's not the best place for him to go.
If I was Jadon, I would be licking my lips at Real Madrid and Barcelona right now. They are dying for a winger.
Yeah.
A good winger. They are both dying for... At Real Madrid, you could play at right wing. At Barcelona, you could play on the left wing. They are dying for a world-class winger. And I'm thinking in 1 year, of excellency at Dortmund, you go into those teams and you start producing for those teams.
La Liga is dying for a player like him. You gotta think if Messi were to leave.
Oh, if Messi leaves, it's a no-brainer for Jadon. In my brain, for Jadon, it's a no-brainer. I'm gonna go to Barcelona. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I can produce goals.
Might not be a no-brainer because if Messi left that you're like, wait a minute.
But then you get into the United thing where it's like,
oh no,
there's money at Barcelona to get to be. No. And again, you know what happened with Messi. You go be the guy, it is lifelong, wealth basically.
Yeah, for sure. So interesting. I mean, look, if Jadon Sancho comes, I'm not gonna be upset.
No.
I mean, nobody's upset about.
But I think you're directly hurting someone like Mason.
Yeah.
With not a old experience, Mason's not ready.
No, a guy that's only 2 years older.
Yeah, James maybe 2021.
And he's 20.
So you're literally replacing him with a young player.
Yeah.
You're blocking his path with a young player.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make that much sense because I think Greenwood, who didn't start most of the year.
Yeah, if you like Greenwood and you think he's going to be a stud, you can't buy Jadon.
Which most people would. I mean, if you don't.
Because unless you get rid of Martial.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look like it's going to happen either.
He was our highest production player last year.
Why would you do that?
23 and 12.
Well, where's the logic in that?
No, there's not much.
So
then it's like you're not going to get rid of.
So was Jadon going to play as an attacking mid 10?
No, because Bruno's there.
Yeah. So, it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
City makes way more sense, which is why Messi makes sense to City. Mars didn't really work. I mean, he's not bad, but he's not scoring 20 goals
got Bernardo there too, though.
But he's not, he's not scoring 20 goals a year either.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
He's not coming to Chelsea either. So.
No, he's not going to. Well, obviously, you just bought Ziyech, and you guys are fine. That's the news. I'm sure there'll be plenty more coming up. Getting closer to the season about to start in the Premier League. You got the French League just started. Speaking of the French League, a reason why I think Depay is getting linked is because I think first game had a hat trick. So that helps. Exciting times. We got a lot on the docket left. Videos and podcasts coming up. So check all that out, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.